Hello, and welcome back to Women for Wealth. So today is kind of timely because I've been seeing all these Facebook posts about this Dow Jones class just for women and investing. It is, as they say, by women for women. The class is free. However, you do get put on their email list, so in their text list, so you will be inundated with text and emails about utilizing their services. I imagine, and I don't know this, long term it's going to be like getting on Grant Cardone's email list. I mean, if you've ever been on his list, God bless the man, but his team just hounds the hell out of you. Even when you unsubscribe, they use every second of that 48 hours they have to continue sending you information until they have to actually take you off their list. So instead of joining the Dow Jones class and getting put on their email list, which can be frustrating to just be bombarded with emails from them, I figured I would take their class topics and I will go through it with you today for free. And I promise you, I am not going to hit up your inbox. I am not going to be texting you. I'm not going to sell your information to different financial companies. I'm not doing any of that. I am here to help you become wealthy. And so that is my goal. So let's get started. The first thing, should I start investing first? That is the first question that they have in their email. So we're going to go over that. The second question is, should I pay off my credit cards first? Again, we will address all of this. Third, maximize my 401k first. The fourth thing, should I start saving first? So really, to me, the crux of these questions is, what order should I do things in so that I can eventually become wealthy? So let's talk about that. There are a lot of moving parts when it comes to finances. And the number one thing you need to do is have a strong foundation and plan. Once you have a written plan in place, it is not that difficult to execute and become wealthy. Is the order on how you get things done that important and key? Yes and no. So we'll talk about that as we move through, because there is a right way to do it. There's a right way to go through things. Willow, you're on the couch, you're moving the camera. So what this boils down to is, what order should you do things? Because you want to maximize and you want to get to wealth as fast as possible. So how do you do that? How do you manage your money and manage your finances so that you have control and you can start building wealth? So I've said it before, I'll say it again. You cannot build wealth if you have commercial debt. Commercial debt is compound interest working against you. You need to get out of commercial debt and start investing and having compound interest work for you. The very first thing you need to do is you need to start investing something into your retirement plan. I recommend, if you have an employer that does a 401k match, at minimum, you invest whatever that percentage is. If your employer matches up to 3%, you invest 3%. If your employer matches up to 6%, like I do for my employees in my company, then you put in 6%. Whatever that match is, you want to invest that. You want to put that in at a minimum so that you get the maximum benefit from your 401k. That is the first thing I recommend you do. Number one, 401k, employee matching. Then the second thing is paying off your debt. So you've got your 401k, whatever percentage matching that is, automatically taken out of your paycheck, automatically invested toward your retirement savings. Then you've got your monthly budget. See what else you have available. If you have $100, if you have $50, whatever extra money you have per month, throw that at debt. And you want to either use the snowball method or the avalanche method. There's a video that we can link here where I talk about the avalanche method and the snowball method. Either one you pick, doesn't matter, as long as you get out of debt. Use one of those, put a plan in place, stick to it. You execute, you will get out of debt. It depends on how much debt you have, how fast you'll get there. Some people can do it faster than others because they didn't start as much debt. Another way to reduce your debt burden as fast as possible is start to sell everything that's not nailed down in your house. You know, if you've got And one of the videos, we can link it to, talks about clutter and the cost of clutter. Get rid of all that clutter that you don't need. Get rid of tchotchkes that do nothing but sit there that you have to dust around. Sell those on Facebook Marketplace or whatever, swap meets, garage sales, whatever way you prefer to try to sell some of these items that you don't need, then sell them. Take the proceeds, take the money you make from selling stuff, pay down debt with it. Either the snowball or the avalanche method will tell you, are you paying your smallest debt or are you paying your debt with the largest interest first? As soon as you can, you want to pay that off because you're going to avoid unnecessary interest charges by getting them paid off in full. Do the Dave Ramsey thing. Once you're paid off in full, call the company, close out the account, cut up your card so that you never are tempted to use it again. Now, one thing that I will say as a caveat that I have changed as I've gotten older. So when I was younger, I had 0 credit cards. I had gone through Dave Ramsey. I paid them all off. I closed all the accounts out. Then I got older. I realized, hey, FICO score, credit scores are important. And so I need to get one credit card that I can keep open for a long time because length of having an account is calculated into your FICO score. And I need to use it sporadically, pay it off in full the month that I use it, and build up my FICO score. Because when you have no FICO score, it is very difficult if you need to go get a loan for something. For example, if you want to buy a house and you have no FICO score or a low FICO score, it is very, very difficult. So you want to manage your credit score to the best of your ability. I do recommend having one credit card open, sporadically using it, pay it off in full the month that you use it, and keep it open for a long time. So whichever card that is, pick one. I think it's important that you do have a FICO score because, again, if you're going to buy a house, you need that. I was able to buy this house at 2.125% interest on a 15-year mortgage loan. I was able to do that in part because I had an 850 credit score. And you don't get to 850 without actively knowing what you're going to do to get there. I really know what I need to do to get there, so I pay things off. I use it occasionally, pay it off the same month, so I'm not incurring interest payments or penalties. There's a lot of different things you can do. Do not pay a company to help you with your credit score. You don't need to do that. There are templates online that you can go and download that you can use to write your credit companies. Like, for example, if you want to get out of debt, but you don't want to pay, let's say you have a card that you used irresponsibly. You've got $30,000 on a MasterCard. You don't have $30,000 to pay it off in full. You want to pay it off. So how do you do that as fast as you can? One of the things you can do is you can download one of these template letters from the internet. You can sign it, date it, keep a copy for yourself of it signed and dated, mail it to them, and ask for a lump sum payoff amount. For example, if you don't have $30,000 but you've got $18,000, offer them. Say, hey, I want to pay off this debt. I don't have $30,000. Would you be willing to accept $18,000 as a payoff to wipe out this debt? And see, a lot of times they will. A lot of times credit companies will be willing to accept a settlement to get part of the money because they know that they will get that money. They'll send you a letter saying if you pay off this amount by this date, then your account will be zero balance. Keep that letter and do the payoff, close out the account once it's paid in full. Then check your credit score. Make sure on your credit report that it says balance zero, closed by customer. You don't want them to put on your credit score, which is what they'll do if you go through a credit company, by the way. You go through a company and you pay them to send the letter on your behalf, then they're going to charge you who knows how much. I think it's a percentage of your debt. So, it could be $1,500 for them to send a letter, which you could have done yourself for the cost of a stamp. And so then when they negotiate on your behalf, you send the $18,000 and the account's closed. A lot of times, because you went through a credit agency, the company will put on your credit score closed by the credit card company, which is actually a negative on your credit score, because it will trigger other credit agencies to assume the account was closed because you were non-payment, you were non-compliant on your debt. And that wasn't true. And so I do recommend get everything in writing, keep it, and then make sure you do check your credit score. There's no reason to pay for checking your credit score. Please do not do that. You have the right to get your credit score pulled for free once every 12 months. So if you go to Experian, if you go to TransUnion, if you go to any of these credit reporting companies, they have to give you the option of a free report once every 12 months. They will try multiple times to get your credit card number. Do not give it to them. So you'll go in free Equifax credit report or whatever. The first website you go to is going to say $12 for your credit report. Look, scroll down, look everywhere. It's usually hidden somewhere in the bottom corner where you got to click free credit report. And then you click that, then it's going to take you to another page that says, hey, you're going to want credit monitoring, not just a single credit report. You're going to want to pay us to monitor your credit. Do not pay for that. Again, scroll through somewhere at the bottom corner, 12 font. It's going to be hidden. You got to look for it. But trust me, you can find it because I've gone through this. Click on the free credit report. You want the free credit report. You don't want to pay for monitoring. I can say if you've ever had fraud, which unfortunately I did when I lived in Florida, you get free credit monitoring as part of that. So for example, when my identity was stolen from my bank when I lived in Florida, which scams and fraud are rampant in Florida because there's a older community. You've got what's called the villages where a lot of people retire to, and people take advantage of older people that don't know any better. And it's unfortunate, but there was a scam that went around, somehow hacked into my bank, stole my identity. My bank paid for me to have free credit monitoring for a year after that. Now, I did sign up for that free report and free monitoring. And again, with that, just be aware, you do not have to pay for it. Do not give your credit card. Then at the end of 12 months, the company will contact you and ask you, hey, this, paid for by your bank period is over. Do you want to continue this? And I just said no. And so I don't pay for that. I don't have any problems with that. I can tell you that I'm not afraid of fraud and I'm not afraid of having my identity stolen because I know all the companies that I use are reputable. And if they have something happen, then they are going to fight and they are going to pay for it. Anyway, I just don't worry about it. Just don't pay for your credit report. Don't pay for credit monitoring. The next thing you want to do, so you've done the 401k matching, max that out. That is your step one. Step two is going to be pay off your commercial debt. Step three is your emergency fund. I should have caveat with a 1.5, which is put $1,000 in the savings account as an emergency fund first. So step one's 401k, step 1.5 is $1,000 emergency fund in a savings account. Step two is going to be pay off your high interest debt. Step three, because you want to stay out of debt, you're going to fund 3 to 6 months worth of your bills in a savings account. So the goal here is if something tragic were to happen, if a life event were to happen, if you were to lose your job, if your spouse were to lose his or her job, you've got 3 to 6 months of savings to where you don't have to have income coming in and your bills are paid. You got 6 months is what I recommend if you're married with kids, or 9 months or 12 months if you can do it. 6 months is the minimum if you're married with children I think you need as a cushion in an emergency savings account because life happens. I say sometimes Murphy, he holds up in the guest bedroom sometimes and he just doesn't want to move out and I got to evict him. Murphy's Law, what can go wrong does go wrong. And that happens sometimes in life. So just be prepared so you have peace and you have security and you don't have to worry about it. And you're not going to freak out. You're not going to have anxiety. You're not going to be stressed. You're not going to be depressed. You're going to say, you know what? Emergency fund is here for that. We're going to be okay. And then once we get through this phase of life, then we'll replenish our emergency savings account. So the next step after that is you're going to go back to that 401k or Roth IRA or whatever vehicle you choose, and you are going to invest more in your retirement. If your employer only matches 3% and you're putting 3% in, that's 6% total. That is not going to fund your retirement to where you're going to have financial independence. You need to be, I think 15 to 20% is kind of the range that I think. And once you are mid to senior career, you should be at that 20% mark because you've already paid down your debt. You've already got a fully funded emergency account. You start throwing more money at your retirement funds. That's when you start to maximize and max out your 401k and your Roth IRA and whatever other vehicle you choose to use for your retirement. I do recommend either the Roth IRA or the 401k before you get into stocks and real estate investing and all that other stuff. Max those out first. Then if you have additional extra funds, sure, then you can look at, okay, do I want to buy a rental house? Do I want to look at the stock market? I do not believe in day trading or, trading stocks every 3 to 6 months. I think you invest in growth stock mutual funds or the S&P 500. SPY, I think, is the combo where it says, okay, we're going to take several large stable companies, we're going to put it together. You buy into it, then you let it sit there for several decades while it grows. If you're investing your money in solid, stable companies that have given consistent dividends, increase those dividends over time, have been profitable, increased revenue over time, continued growth, they're stable. It's the Walmarts, it's the Coca-Colas of the world. The companies that were around and successful and profitable when you were a kid and are still successful and profitable today, those that are bunched up together in one fund, that is a great place to put your money. I don't do a lot of individual stock investing. I don't do hedging. To me, I work hard for my money. I don't want to gamble it away. I don't do risky investing. I'm the tortoise. I'm the slow, steady, consistent. I will get to wealth. I will be, multimillionaire. I will be very financially secure. I will be able to give generations of my family financial independence because of the decisions of what I'm doing today. And I don't want to risk that on a quick get rich scheme. So just be aware of that. The last step, and this is an important step, make saving a habit. It needs to be a habit. You need to become a saver, not a spender. Critically ask yourself before you buy something, do I need it? Does it function for my life? Is it something that if I didn't buy a month from now, I would still need? Ask yourself some of those hard questions before you purchase something. And then, if you do make a purchase, that's fine. You consciously, knowingly decided to purchase that. And then there's no guilt around it. If you impulse buy, a lot of times there's guilt. If you're going to buy a house, if you're going to buy a large anything, if you're going to invest, I would say if you're going to buy anything for more than $10,000, you need to sleep on it overnight. You need to get the information. You need to get the data. You need to sit down and think about it. You need to sleep on it overnight. The next morning you wake up and then you decide, okay, I'm going to go buy XYZ. And at that point, you've done your due diligence. You've got all of your data together. You've thought about it. You've researched it. You slept on it overnight. You go buy it. And then you don't have any guilt. And then you know that you've made the right choice for yourself and your family, and you don't have to worry long term. Also, make it automatic as much as you can. And I know that in this day and age, a lot of our bills are automatic. If you sign up for a subscription, for example, there's a commercial for an app that, people are saving $246 on. TV subscriptions. And this person's like, well, I don't even watch TV, or I only use this one app. Why am I paying for all these other apps that I don't watch? Well, it's because they're automated. You're not looking at your budget every month. If you have a budget in place and you're doing your budget forecast versus actual to get the variance, you're going to pick up on those things pretty quick. You're going to notice, hey, wait a minute. I didn't have Netflix down in my budget, but Netflix came out of my bank this month. What is this? Let me go in and close that out. It's interesting to me that a lot of people don't know where their money goes. They work hard for their money, and then they don't know where it goes because they don't budget it. They don't track it. They don't write it down. They don't give it a name. They don't tell it where to go. And it sprouts legs and walks off. You will never get wealthy unless you start tracking where your money goes, and you know where it goes, and you know what you spend, and you know why you spend it. And you're making conscious decisions on, okay, is this dollar bill going to go toward entertainment, or is this dollar bill going to go toward savings, or is this dollar bill going to go toward paying off debt, or is this dollar bill going to go toward retirement? Where's it going to go? You make the decision before you even get your paycheck, and you know where that dollar is going to go because you've already told it, okay, in my budget, this is what I make. Next month, when I get this money, this is where it's going to go. And you automate it. So X amount of dollars per month is going to go to your savings account. Have an automatic transfer set up with your bank, and it'll move it over to savings. Or I've got a Schwab account, and I've got it where every paycheck, regardless of anything else, every paycheck, X amount of dollars goes into my Schwab account to be invested. And it's set up paycheck by paycheck. So every other Friday, the money is automatically taken out of my account. So I don't even see it. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to touch it. It automatically goes out of my bank account into my Schwab account for investing for long-term retirement. And so some of those things about automating your savings, automating your retirement, making saving a habit, I think that is going to help you to get to wealth quicker. You've got to have long-term goals. Don't look short-term. Don't be impulsive. Be a mature adult where you are evaluating your life. You're evaluating where you're at today. You're evaluating where you want to be, and you're writing a plan and putting an execution in place to get you from point A to point B. You need to know how much you need per month when you retire to be financially independent and not worry about your bills. You need to know what your lifestyle is going to be. I am not a jet setter. I don't need a private jet. I do know people that want that in retirement, and they've got a plan in place and they're executing. And I believe that they'll have a private jet and they'll be able to fly all around the world in retirement, and they're not going to have to worry about running out of jet fuel because they can't make their money. So know what you need. Know what your future desires are going to be so that you can put the plan in place and you can execute, so you can be wealthy and you can be financially independent. If you have any questions, let me know. I think I've answered everything that Dow Janes had in their marketing material. I will go back and look. If I missed anything, I'll do a follow-up. But I'm here to help. Let me know. Reach out. Let's get wealthy together, women.